Welcome to Stories, a multimedia series that follows the journey of some of the most talented creatives in the world. My name is Bryan Torres, and I'm representing Creative Talent Family, and it's an honor to introduce Black Sea of RBL Posse. How you doing?
What's up with you, man?
What's good? What's good? So it's really impressive. You have a career of about 3 decades,
Yeah,
and you just recently dropped your newest album, the Black Album.
right.
Um, and before I get into that, I kind of want to get an idea of what Frisco looked like up until 1992.
hmm
And so some like quick questions I had was like, what kind of music was popular? What were the effects of the crack epidemic? What was the diversity like? And how was it post the '89 earthquake?
Right. All right. Well, what's the first question? The first answer question, I mean.
What music was popular during that time?
During what, like the
In,
80s, 90s?
yeah.
Um, in the Bay Area, I'll say as far as like late 80s, first we used to be like everybody was kind of BDP, Public Enemy, um, everybody was off of that, and then of course, Too Short. The Big Daddy Kanes. I mean, we was listening to a variety of groups. A lot of East Coast stuff was out here until, Too Short, NWA and them hit. And once they hit, I say going from the 88, I say 89, 88 to 89, going into 90, I would have to say it was more Dangerous Crew, more like Spice One and Dangerous Dame and MC Pooh, over in the Bay Area, things of that nature. Also, rapping Forte too. I would have to say him. We had a few of our locals that started to pop off where we had they had like some regional success. So yeah, I would have to say. It was a variety, We had a variety, but early on, we all we listened to was pretty much whatever the East Coast was dropping. Like I said, from the Big Daddy Kanes to the BDPs to the Public Enemies, things of that nature.
Yeah. Okay. In your new album, you mentioned, I think, forgetting the title, but it was something funky. But even
Yeah,
throughout the album, yeah, my bad, go ahead.
make it funky. Yeah.
Yep. Even throughout the album, you mentioned like growing up during the crack epidemics. What
hmm
was Frisco like during the '80s due to that?
Man, during the crack epidemic, man, it was bad. And man, it was pretty much. I'm doing an interview right now. It was pretty much. It tore families up, man. It was one of those things where, like, it was like the you had your friend's mom able to spank you, and you going to the boys' club. We had the boys' club, the gym. We had a bunch of community centers and a lot of activities of that nature, and it was a bunch of I would say like they say, it takes a village to raise a kid. It was a village over there, but when crack hit, the village kind of deteriorated. It went from, your kid's mom, I mean, your friend's mom who used to have permission to spank you or keep you in check. Now she coming to try to buy drugs and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And your friends now staying over your house. It tore families apart and also employed some people, even like me. Families got shattered, and at the same time, it was a bunch of guys that was getting money, becoming entrepreneurs, through the crack. So I said it was pros and cons to it, but I say right now, man, the devastation right now, I see just right now, just the babies that came out of that, man. We suffering from it. You know what I mean? The 80s babies is something terrible right now.
I get the, I hear you. What about like the diversity?
The diversity,
Like,
man, it was real diverse in San Francisco. Like where I grew up at in Hunters Point, we grew up with like Samoans, um, Asians. It was a bunch of Asians up there. You know, the Latino side was over on like Mission Street area. They wasn't necessarily in our projects. In our projects, we had maybe like Samoans and Asians, and yeah, I guess once you stepped out, Frisco was real diverse. You know, you had like Chinatown, you had the Latin area over there, to Mission Street, 24th Mission on down, just really the whole mission. And
Yeah.
yeah, it was real diverse in Frisco, man. I loved it.
Okay. And were you affected hard by the '89 earthquake, or like how was
The
that?
'89 earthquake, a little bit. I wasn't really affected as much as a lot of people was. I was locked up, so I just heard about it. I was where it hit hard. I was out by Santa Cruz in a city called La Honda, California, in log cabin at the time, and it was shower time, and we didn't know what the hell was going on. I mean, it just rumbled hard. It just the whole ground. We thought we was about to die. You had dudes running around there who were supposed to be the toughest guys inside the little jail. Everybody running around with Bibles in their hands. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
So yeah, it affected me in a way where I wanted to go home. I was scared. Phone services was down. We couldn't get in touch with our families. And once we did get some reception up there where the TV was able to watch TVs, we seen that the bridge had collapsed. I guess a part of the freeway or some part of the bridge had collapsed and killed some people. And, one of my guys was riding on a motorcycle, rest in peace, Street Frog. He got killed during the earthquake, on a motorcycle, ran into a garage. So yeah, it was ugly.
You're one third of the group, the
Well, one half, a
audience.
lot of people thought Hitman was part of the group, but he really wasn't in the group. In the group, the first two albums was just really man, Hitman, Mr. C. Hitman came in to kind of fill the void on the third album,
Mm.
but he was always solo. We never signed him on as an RBL member. I just tried to use it to elevate his solo career, but he never was really RBL.
Oh, okay. Was he on the cover, or he wasn't even he wasn't
Nah,
on the
he
cover?
wasn't in the
Oh, okay.
cover. Now he didn't come around. We didn't meet him till after the first album, going into the second album. Then I got
Oh,
introduced to
okay.
him. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. So how did RBL Posse come about?
It came about by me being nervous to go to the studio and do a solo album. I just got a little nervous. It was actually my solo album. I was supposed to record. I did like maybe three, four songs, and when it was time to go in, I got cold feet. So I was looking for somebody to be in a group with me, or really like the front man of the group, because I was really like the producer. I was doing beats. And I ended up getting in touch with my boy T Lo, who I wanted to do the group with. And T Lo was like the Ice Cube of our neighborhood. He didn't want to do an album with me. He pretty much, deterred me over to Mr. C. He was like, hey, I'm dating this girl, her brother rap. Think y'all be a good fit. That's all he do is rap. He got to tell me, I'll be hustling. I don't really want to be in the studio and making an album, and he just gave me just deflected me basically. And it was a good thing, because once he introduced me to Mr. C, it was off to the races. Mr. C, that he was right, all he wanted to do was rap, and we went straight to the studio. And that's why you notice a lot of the songs I start off, I either got two, like More Like an Orgy is a solo song of mine on there. um you have songs like A Lesson to Be Learned, where I got the first two verses. That was a solo song. Bammer Weed came off my solo album. It was really called Don't Give Me No Bammer Joint. We Don't Smoke It in Hunts Point. And I switched it when Mr. C came around. I switched it to Don't Give Me No Bammer Weed, just to make it a little bit more San Francisco versus just Hunters Point. And yeah, it was a bunch of stuff like that I did that I ended up converting over.
Yeah. Okay. So cool. You guys' debut album, "Lesson to Be Learned," is a classic. It's a West
Yeah,
Coast hip hop classic. It's a classic.
right. Appreciate it.
What do you think sets that album apart from the others, from the other albums that were coming out during that time?
Um, to be honest, I don't really know. I just think it was just me as a producer. I produce different. When I look at San Francisco overall in that era, a lot of people was kind of going the Mac Dre, Kyrie, studio tone route. Um, and I was always kind of Southern Cal influenced, with NWA and them, even Ghetto Boys. Like my musical influences wasn't really Bay Area, even though I was influenced some by like the group 415 at the time, and I was influenced by IMP. But when it comes to my production, I was more like Dr. Dre, Code 187, Butter Law and them. So it kind of set me apart to where when I was producing, I was trying to make it more cinematic with scratches and a bunch of different samples coming in on one beat, and a lot of people wasn't doing that at the time, especially in San Francisco. Only other groups that I know that was really going crazy like that, having the DJ coming in, scratching on hooks and four, five different samples coming in maybe at one time was a little bit of like NWA, but
Uh,
where they songs might sound like a movie, but pretty much that's what kind of set me apart, just to kind of having that Bay Area flavor, but then having that Southern Cal kind of influence funk on the album.
uh, yeah, I actually just found that out recently that you produced pretty much almost the whole album.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah. Well,
I
I
heard you
did the
mention
whole
one
album.
song that you didn't, but yeah,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
produced the whole
G's by the
album.
1 2 3s was produced by TC. I did the whole everything else though.
Do you have a favorite song that you produced on that album?
You said, do I have a favorite on there?
Yeah, do you have a favorite song that like you produced?
Oh yeah, of course, Bammer was the favorite on that. Ain't nothing out doing that on that album. But yeah, favorite. My second favorite would have to probably be G's by the 1 2 3s. That's why I made it on the album. When I heard that beat TC did, I was just like, man, I need that. And our album was so dope. He wanted to be a part of it, so he gave it to me.
How was it producing Mr. C?
Well, Mr. C kind of rocked with whatever I came with. Like he trusted me as far as my decisions and my opinion on beats and things of that nature. So what I did was I would probably have a concept or I had a beat, and when I'm in there tinkering with it, he might have hook ideas and everything. That was really his thing, was having the samples that I might want to throw on a hook. He always like if I come with don't give me no Bammer joint. He came with the sample. I forgot the R&B dude, but he was like, man, that dude that say get with the program. You should sample that and put it like he come with little bits and pieces of stuff like that to where it made it dope. You know what I mean? Like
Okay.
on a lesson to be learned on the hook. He come with like, man, you oughta sample JD off the Ice Cube, you know what I mean, when he jacking a dude in the drive through. And then, that's where we get that. I'm tired of this motherfucking shit. He come with those little pieces that
Uh,
they used to tie the song in. So, but he always trusted me. He didn't, anything I produce, I'll see him get excited. He'd be over there, be like, oh man, like, man, that's dope. Like, oh, bro, that's so, he dope, man. He always, he never gave me a problem when it came to producing or anything. It was just one of them things where it's like, whatever I came with, he was just ready to go.
what is your creative process when it comes to producing?
I just kind of go with the flow. Things just kind of back then when it was dealing with samples, it was like if I'm like going through records, I might hear a little riff or something, or so like how even like when I did Bitches on the Ding Dong, that little guitar breakdown. It just come when I'm going through like that whole George Clinton's maybe like a two to four bar loop. It come in like way at the end of the song. It come in, so I catch things like that and just loop it. That was my thing, just like something just catch me a melody, sort of like Bammerweed when I heard the saxophone. I hear that flute coming in. It just hit me, and I just kind of start building around that. The samples was easier to work with. Now, when you get to the original beats, it's a little bit different. I might start off with drums. I might come with some chords and just working from there. It just depends. But I tinker around with stuff, just playing with stuff, going through the sounds until something catch my ear. And I kind of freestyle. I just freestyle until I catch a rhythm. Like when I did Bluebird, which was like one of our biggest songs on our second album. I just was playing with the bass line. And it actually started from a sample. I sampled one of Wu-Tang's song, Could It All Be So Simple? And I reversed it. And that's where I kind of got the reverse effect. And I was just like, ooh, because anytime I mess with a sample, I always see how it sound reversed, just because it gives you a whole different feel. So that's what I did. And Bluebird kind of came out of that bass line from Could It All Be So Simple? So, and yeah, I just reflipped it and from there to start building on to it.
Okay, yeah. So how gamed up were you on the music industry that you were able to, use all these samples? Because not everyone has, production or uses samples of Prince, Marvin Gaye. and the Isley brothers. Like you really were in your bag when it came to sampling on that first album.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they tore us up for that too, but it was one of them things. It was a learning. I was just using it. You know what I mean?
Mm,
And plus, I had my mom records. Man, I had so many records from Patrice Rushen to, I mean, Third Base, and I mean, we had like five, six samples sometime in one song. So, I mean, I was just going crazy with it, and yeah, I learned a lot about sampling and publishing and really getting clearances and all that stuff on that album, man, because we didn't really get a dime off that first album. We got a lot of notoriety, but we didn't get no
mm,
check from it.
mm.
We got our pockets lit up from that.
And that was from when you guys got signed to In a Minute,
Yeah,
or
in a
that was all
minute.
due to In a Minute.
Yeah, that was on in a minute.
Yeah. Um, how did it feel, or like what changed once you guys did sign to In a Minute?
We got more exposure, not too much change.
Okay.
It wasn't too much of a deal. It still felt like we was going out the trunk because they was a small company. But they
Mm,
did open the floodgates to where our albums was able to reach the Midwest, down south, East Coast, Northwest, Southwest. It was, we reached it, and without in a minute, we probably wouldn't have blew up like we did. We'd have been out the trunk. It would have probably been a slower process. We probably would have blew up anyway, but it would have took a while. I don't think we'd have blew up as fast. But good music gonna travel. I mean, you can't deny good music. So word of mouth was traveling. That's why he wanted to sign to us. I mean, wanted us to sign to him because people was coming in there and coming to his one stop because he had a one stop. In a minute was the music label, but the music people was the big company that where he had an office inside the music people company. They was a one stop that distributed all the CDs out to different parts of the country. So, it was one of those things where we would have reached everywhere, but not as fast. So it was like a caboose when we signed with In a Minute.
and during this time, you were like in your teen, and like you were like 19, 20, right? Or
Yeah,
around that
yeah.
age.
When the album
Yeah.
first dropped, I believe I was like 17, 18. Yeah, I was like
Okay.
17, 18 because I just got out of log cabin. And then I turned 18. So I was like, yeah, 18, 19, 92. Yeah.
Okay. And then you guys had the big deal from Atlantic, from what I know.
Yeah,
Uh, do
97.
you did you did you have any like mentors or anyone that you know that maybe give you advice on like how to handle like a lump sum of money? Because what I heard and what I've heard that you said, it was a lot. It was gonna be a big bag.
Yeah.
Yeah, and since well, exactly you were like 19, 20, like did you have any idea of how to handle
No, I
that kind
didn't.
of bag?
No, I didn't have nobody teaching me no type of financial literacy, but I was thankful and blessed to have a manager at the time, Tone Jackson, who, shout out to Tone. He told me about it, getting some property, investing in the property, and he the one started telling me about taxes and start working on getting my credit together so I can buy a house. And that's what I did because my bag really came from in 1995 when I put out the Hitman album independently. It sold like
Mm,
maybe almost like 150,000 copies out the trunk, and I was buying them tape for tape and going getting COD $10 a tape. I mean a CD from City Hall Records. So, and I made, all that money. I was go up there, discount them, go in there, sell it to him for $10 a CD. And he was selling out. Hitman was moving like our first album moved. It was just nonstop. It was like dope. So, yeah, I didn't have nobody really teach me anything. I learned from the mistakes I made dealing with Independent Records. So by the time we got to Atlantic in 97, I went through getting my accounts levied, learned about the accounting game, just paying taxes, and I learned about just the credit and everything. So I ended up getting my stuff together and bought my first house in '96 right after Mr. C died. So by the time I signed in '97, you know, I I had a little bit of financial literacy, where I knew like, okay, I got a house now, I got a kid now, I got to make sure I make the right moves, and I got to start, stack it for the winter, making sure just in case it get ugly, because I done heard stories about these labels, and how they could shelf you and also I was afraid of all that, and it happened. You know, thank God I was in, good financial position where I was able to, I had leverage, independently to where I was able to say, okay, most artists on the East Coast, they don't have it. They count on them labels so much. They wasn't raised in the independent game selling out the trunk. So
Yeah.
once the label shelved them, they don't know what to do. But out in the Bay Area, a lot of us who had major deals walked away from them and didn't care. We was like, we ain't tripping. We go press it up, regardless if you think you can stop us or try to send a cease and desist. We'd change our name. We'd do something else. We'd do a joint venture with somebody else under a whole different LLC or whatever. And we gonna put it out and sell it out the trunk. And we had distributors out here like the music people and City Hall Records who they didn't care either. They like, man, yeah, people want it. I'm gonna send it out. So we was good. I was good and I learned a lot. And thank God I went through what I went through in a minute. And I learned early before I did start getting to that big bag with Atlantic.
Mm. Okay. So, on your new album, you have a song called "Learn from the Losses."
Hmm.
Um, and so it made me wonder, like, what is the biggest lesson you've learned from one of your losses?
Man, is the biggest one is just I would say it's two of them. One is like, everybody ain't your friend. Everybody you start with, you ain't gonna end with. You know what I mean? I learned a lot from losing Mr. C, and what's was so crazy about that is I only had knew Mr. C maybe like 4 years, but the guys that betrayed me I knew like my whole life, almost 20 at the time. So, and them the ones that, kind of betrayed me and got jealous of our success and jealous of the friendship that me and Mr. C had and was jealous that he was new up there, was up there getting the shine he got, and that taught me a lot, and also I would say one of the biggest ones is just read your contracts. Early on, when I signed with In a Minute, I was just going for that stake he was dangling. I didn't really want to make sure that the contract benefited me. And he told me too, so I can't really be mad at Jason because he's like, man, y'all might want to get a lawyer, read over it, make sure it's right. And I was more trying to get that advance he had. I was just like, bro, I don't care. I can make more of this. I'm not worried about this. You only want us for 3 albums. I can knock out 3 albums fast. So I didn't
Yeah.
care. I just thought I can go make some more music, not knowing that that album was gonna blow up like it did, and I was only gonna be receiving like 13 points, 13% basically. So it was a learning lesson to just make sure, I make sure all my I's is dotted and T's is crossed, man, and not only read it once but read it twice. You know what I mean? Make sure you got somebody on your team who really in your corner. So yeah, them was valuable lessons.
I kind of want to go back to the song I mentioned, "Learn from the Losses."
Hmm.
I think Action Jack's on it, right? Or you
Yeah, he
produced it.
produced it. Hmm.
And on the end of the song, you mentioned oh, at the end of the song, you talk about the mixtape you guys have. Can you go into your guys' relationship and what you meant by that,
Yeah,
or like
we
what's
had,
your guys' history?
well, we didn't have a mixtape. Action Jack was one of the guys that really, like, I would say he probably don't even know, but he kind of was a big influence on like music, like for me too, because my lesson to be learned, that you're a customer beat and all that type of stuff, me getting into 415 and a lot of the groups like that I knew about, I got from Action Jack mixtapes. I got up on EPMD from Action Jack mixtapes. He used to sell mixtapes back in the days. You go get a mixtape, Action Jack have a whole bunch of groups on there you know nothing about. You'd be like, oh man, and he knew how to pick the songs. Like every song on his mixtapes was dope. I learned about Rob Bass, It Takes Two, when that first came out. Like we had a lot of that stuff early on in the city before they blew up. And then all of a sudden they blew up, Before I Let Go by Steady B and like things of that, like artists like that. We didn't know about them until Action Jack brought them out. We used to listen to Action Jack like probably since 87, 88. Like I was dealing with his mixtapes, yeah. So he was doing this thing, man. He was a factor out there in San Francisco as a DJ. So man, much love to Action Jack, and it feel good to actually be able to get a song from him now because he used to help this rapper called The Miller back in the days, and my boy the Buttweiser used to try to have battle raps against him. And at one point in time, we all wasn't really cool with each other. Now, we all friends, and we laugh about the old school funk days when we was all funking and wasn't didn't like each other or whatever the case may be. But nah, he a good dude, man, and yeah, he gonna probably have one at least a song on every album moving forward. You know,
Is it you guys' first time working together?
that was our first time of me ever working with him, getting music from him. You know, he actually gave me the intro on my last album to this song I called "In My Bag," where I got this girl talking crazy on the phone to me. He actually sent me that skit. So
Okay.
he didn't do no music on the last one, but he actually did a skit on it.
Yeah. Learn from my loss is probably one of my favorite songs off off the newest project.
Man,
Because it
appreciate
sounds
it.
like, it sounds like a Too Short or sounds like a Fight the Feeling
Yeah,
sample.
yeah, that's what it
And
is.
it is.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I knew
He just
it.
flipped it. The bass line is from Don't Fight the Feeling, but he put different drums and chords over it that just give it a different feel. Where I was just like, oh
Yeah,
man, okay, yeah, this got a nice feel
yeah,
to it.
yeah. I kept running it back, and I was like, I know what the sample is.
Right, yeah.
But
Yeah, yeah.
I kind of want to go back a little bit into Atlantic, or your dealings with Atlantic.
Hmm.
I know you had conversations with Craig Kalman, and during In the Bay, there was always that conversation before Empire that there's no infrastructure in the Bay, and that major labels don't like Bay Area artists. But you've always praised, or from what I've heard, you have always praised Craig Kalman.
Yeah.
Was he just a different kind of CEO, or he just knew what great music sounded like?
He both. He knew what great music was. Like that's why he still wanted to deal with me after losing Mr. C. Any other CEO or, label owner would have been like, all right, they done, I'm gone. One of the rappers gone. But he knew RBL. He knew I was the man behind the music. He the one that pumped me up. It was like, I'm still really willing to do music with you. Like if you willing to go back in and do it with Hitman. He said, I ain't trying to say, I want Hitman to fill hit Mr. C's shoes, but I think he good and lyrically, he's up there to where I think he can do good with you, and y'all can still put out an RBL project. And I thought about it, and I was just like, "Yep, you're right." He's like, "Man, I know you can do it, man. You the man behind the music." And I should have produced the music on that album, on the iPhone I album, and that's where I kind of messed up at because Craig signed me for the RBL sound. But it's just that when we signed over there and went over there to Craig, Craig got the big job at Atlantic being the president because he was signing us to Big Beat. His Big Beat was his label, Big Beat Records. So it was Big Beat slash Atlantic. But once he got the big job, I mean the big dog job being president at Atlantic Records, he put us with Mike Caren, and Mike Caren didn't really care too much about Bay Area rap. He a dude from the East Coast, and really, I don't think he was from the East Coast because he stayed like in Beverly Hills or somewhere. But I think he just was kind of raised on East Coast rap, more the backpack rap. So he didn't know nothing too much about us. He was an A&R over there, and he didn't know what to do with us really. You know what I mean? Craig kind of had the bigger fish to fry, so he had to go run over there. He had artists like Aaliyah and them, Fat Joe and them coming over there. So he was, he had to maintain their roster over there. I think T.I. was freshly coming out around that time or something like that, was about to come up. So he had to tend to bigger things, and he kind of left us, and it was just yeah, it just didn't work out with us and Mike Caren, man. It just didn't work out. And Mike Caren didn't care about my production. He started sending me a bunch of beats from producers and stuff, and I wasn't in the zone to really produce. So I kind of went and linked on Rick Rock for most of the production on that album, and I got away from my original formula.
Mhm. And as I mentioned before, like you've been in the music industry for about 3 decades.
Yeah.
So how have you noticed that the music industry has changed? I mean, you've gone through a bunch of transitions, like straight out the trunk with CDs, and then MP3, and then you got streaming.
Hmm.
Like, how have you? How much has it changed to you?
Oh man, it changed a lot. It changed drastically. I mean, for the better and worse. I said, like, I mean, it's always got its pros and cons, man. Its ups and downs. Like, I like the fact that you could easily just push a button and upload and get your music out. I like how easy it is now, how convenient it is just to put out music, how you might not necessarily need a major label and all that. But now. that is easy is millions of rappers. There's no more fans now. So now you're dealing with that because everybody, the guy that used to be a rapper, I mean, that used to be your fan, now he wants you to listen to his tape instead of you checking out him checking out your music. So it makes it hard. So you really got to stand out and really got to have some new music. I'm blessed to have a catalog that people grew old with that they'll go back and listen to because it's hard to get them to check out the new music. You know what I mean? Unless they're a diehard fan and they not rapping, they'll check out some of your new music. You know what I mean? But it's just so hard now. But one thing I did like about, and it's cheaper, videos $500 to maybe 1,500. You know, back when we was doing music, it was 20, 30,000 for a video. It was harder to record back then. You had to stripe a reel. You had to put SMPTE on it. Add your time code, SMPTE or whatever. Like just to go in the studio, just to get started, you had to prepare just to get things set. It took an hour just to set up. So that's when it was like 60, $70 an hour, $80 an hour. So you out of 80 to 100 just getting set up. You know what I mean? So it's different now. You can just pop on your MacBook Pro and man, you fire up Logic or Pro Tools or whatever you working off of and boop, boop, real fast. You in there recording and done in 5, 10, 20 minutes. Now producers brag about how fast they make beats. Well, I made this beat in 5 minutes. Like, it used to take us like an hour, 2, 3 hours to make a beat. And that's just scrolling through sounds and just making sure you plug everything in. It was running analog, so you had to sometimes play stuff live unless you was running MIDI. I mean, it was just a lot of things that was going on, man. We had to play our 8 bar loops or 16 bars, loop them into the EPS, then loop it, so we ain't got to play live through for 5 minutes. And songs was longer. You had 4 24s or 3 24s on songs. Now it's just like 2 12s or 2 16s is done. Songs is like 2.5 minutes. I look at my first album. It's only like really 9 songs. It's an intro and an outro and maybe 9 songs. But it's as long as a 14, 15 song album right now today. You know what I mean? If I look at the time, it's
Yeah,
still about an hour and something. You know what I mean? A
yeah,
9 to 11 song album now would be probably only maybe 30 minutes. You know what I mean? So
mm,
maybe 25 minutes because it's only like 2 minutes a song. So yeah, it's just different, man. I mean, it got each one had its pros and cons. I liked it back then because you had a fan base. It was hard for everybody. When you came out with a tape, people thought you was a star because you had a cassette out or a CD. It was like, oh man, oh this is him. Everybody wasn't trying to write because they didn't know where to go to do it. They didn't know how to go press it up, and
yeah,
it was it costed more. As far as like I missed the sniping campaigns, going to put posters and flyers up, going to get flats. You don't do none of that no more. Now it's all about posting on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and calling it a day. So yeah, I just miss them days. I miss a lot of that. I don't miss the studio part. I wish we'd had the technology they got now back then to move fast through the studio sessions. But as
yeah.
far as once you done going to print and everything, I wish it was like that still.
Okay. Could you have ever imagine during throughout your career, you're early in your career, could you ever imagine a label like Empire to just be right in your backyard?
Not really. I mean, we used to always think you either have to go to New York or LA. That was really our thing. New York or LA for the major distros, but I never really cared though at the same time too because I knew we had City Hall and In a Minute, and I was used to, like you had the St. Charles and E40 and all them. Everybody was out the trunk. So
Mm,
I didn't really pay no mind to them. I did always want to have that experience because I used to see all the logos, Priority Records, Def Jam. So I always wanted a stamp on the back of one of my albums just to try it and see how it feels just to be catered to by a major label, even though I always knew I wasn't gonna make no money unless I went gold or platinum. But I just wanted to use them for
yeah,
that exposure. I knew they was gonna give me a lot of exposure, and it was gonna be a lot of doors open as far as going into, clear channel companies or iHeart or whatever you call it now. Just going into the
yeah,
radio. The red carpet was gonna be rolled out because you with Atlantic Records or you with Priority or
yeah.
Relativity. You know.
Mm, okay. Do you? Do you have a relationship with Gazi
Oh yeah, that's my guy.
at all?
Yeah, that's
Or
my guy, man.
okay,
That's like one of my brother right there, man. I love Ghazi, man. I was one of the first ones, kind of everybody kind of got the same story that Ghazi came and got back at everybody like oh 05, oh 06, something like that around there. He just came and told me to bring my catalog on there, and he took care of me, gave me one of the best deals. He did like a 90-10 split with me, and brought everything because I was finna go to IOTA. Thank God I didn't, because I don't know where they at now. They done crashed, but I was finna go to
yeah,
IOTA, and I didn't, and I ended up going with guys. He took a chance on him, and man, there's been checks rolling through ever since the day I signed. They ain't stopped, ain't had no problems. I think when he left In Grooves and first started Empire, I think I had the books out of it one time, and we seen it was a little, maybe like a $5,000-6,000 discrepancy, and he took care of me. And I think he ended up throwing me 10. He was like, "Oh no," he ended up going over himself and was like, "Oh yeah, no, I was really short this much. I only seen like maybe $6,700 discrepancy, but he ended up seeing it was more, because they had to convert everything over. So yeah, he ended up writing me a check
yeah,
for like almost about 10,000 or something, and it's been lovely. Anytime I need him, they
yeah.
have my beck and call. You know what I mean? They look out for me, take care of me. So I have no problems with Ghazi at all. I love him. He
Uh,
look out for me, man, and I appreciate him.
yeah, that's what I've always heard about Gazi. Like when he first came up, like he wanted to take care of like all the OGs from the Bay.
Yeah.
Like yeah, so I've always heard
Yeah,
good
yeah,
things
he
about him.
have, and I think all the OGs from the Bay, he put them in good positions. Like we all run our own labels, and we can sign other people and get them distro deals to where they got their own situation, and
Yeah,
you ain't got to babysit them. You can give them their own situation where they got their own sign-in passwords. They can go look at what they sold, what they doing, and you make your little percentage off of it, however you want to set them up. He been getting people set up nice, man. He got a nice system over there. I like it.
mm, okay. So one of my favorite genres in hip hop is mob music. You know, you being a pioneer of the
Hmm.
sound. Um, would you credit yourself? You're the creator
Of
of it.
of
I know you said you were just mob music, the
No, I
sound.
wouldn't say I'm a creator of mob music because E40 never really had mob. My sound is more like
Mm,
funk, like mob slash funk. You know what I mean? That's why we used to kind of label it C funk. All my dudes just be like, man, we want that C funk, like how they had G funk down in LA. Mine was more like C
yeah.
funk. You know what I mean? Mine was a mixture of LA and the Bay. You had the Bay sound
Okay.
where it was just like Studio Tone, Mike Mosley, Sam Bostic, JT the bigger figure in them, even like TC, a lot of them had a certain synthesized mobby sound. I had some of that, but a lot of mine I mix it with funk. Mine was a little bit different. When you listen to our second album, I had certain things that sounded mobby like Mortuary Number, but then I got songs like Funktified that was just funk, and then I had stuff like Bounce to This that had like a mob funk sound. It was just different. Ours was always a little bit different, and I think Selsky kind of produced it like that too. You know what I mean? That's why I kind of gave him a couple tracks on our album because he kind of reminded me of me, when it came to production.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. Uh, was oh, what are your thoughts on? Well, they're credited on your newest album. What are your thoughts on DJ Idea and like Foley Beats?
Man, I love them. Man, they got hits. Especially DJ Ideal bring back that old, like he got a whole RBL category in his beat
Yeah.
folder, man, and on his beat stars, and it really sound like shit I would have produced. I was just like, wow, like listen, like I love him, man, and Foley beats, man, he's so smooth with it and so dope. Like they for surely gonna be like they my go-to when I'm like ready to start an album. I start with them from moving forward. Like even my
Yeah.
album I got sitting, both of them maybe got like 3, 4 songs a piece on there on my album because I was supposed to put out another album called Heavy in it, and it just was a little bit too laid
Mm,
back, so I ended up going and I did it. I ended up creating a black album within like 2 weeks to a month. I just start building around the song, get it cracking, and I made a whole new album out of that. But I got this other album that's sitting that got 14 songs, and they them probably did over half the album just between them two. DJ Idea probably got 4 songs on there. I think Foley got 3 to 4 out of the 14. So yeah, like they my go-tos.
How'd you how'd you connect with them?
Instagram, just on there, and they may make a beat and tag me in it, saying this is a RBL type beat, or Black Sea and Larry June type
Okay.
beat, or just doing the stuff like that. And I go to their page, and once I hear, if I like what I hear, I'm like, oh, I get at them and let them know, like, man, I'm trying to buy beats, I'm trying to get a beat pack, like, and it's been on since then.
Do they inspire you to make beats again?
Nah, they make me don't want to make beats again because they so dope. Like I'm like, why make them when they so
You just
raw?
want to use them?
Like, why waste my time?
Yeah, that's
They
true.
playing chords and everything. A lot of my beats, I didn't play chords. I just one hand, just going off the feel and the sound. Like some of my stuff used to be off key, and Hansel used to be like, "Oh, I want to correct that. That's that note is off." And I'm like, "No, leave mine dirty. I like how it's off. Don't mess with it." But they played. They really played. Them dudes is dope. And yeah, I don't even like if I ain't got the passion for it, I don't want to do it. I'm just not passionate about making beats no more. I'm more into rapping now. And at one time, I didn't really care too much about the rapping part. I was into beats, so I just rap afterwards. But I left that up to Mr. C and Hitman. It seemed like once they passed, I got more into the lyrical part, just really just rapping, just really hearing different beats and just like ooh, just getting pumped off of just hearing good music. So now I love just
Uh,
listening to what other producers create. Now I do still go in and give ideas, and I might send Foley like the song I got on my album with Larry June. It's called Rainy Day Schedule. That was a beat that was I came up with. That was a sample that I wanted to use for Patrice Rushen, and I had Foley flip it. So I always do that. I'll go grab something and say, man, can you flip this, replay this over? They'll send it back to me. I said, yeah, can you change this, change that? So I do kind
yeah,
of do that to it, but besides that, I'm not playing anything or doing anything to beats no more besides rapping on them.
yeah. Rain Day Schedule. That's one of my other
Man,
favorites as
appreciate
well.
it.
And speaking of Larry, speaking of Larry June, what does it mean to you to have the kind of legacy and impact that you've created over these last 30 years? Like you've influenced, not you've to me, you've influenced so many of these newer artists, even like
Hmm.
Larry June. I would even say a little bit of Payroll Giovanni, even like
Right.
these producers, the Idea, Foley. Like, what does it mean to you? Like, yeah, how does that feel to
Man, it
you?
feels good, man, because you appreciate it, man. You know what I mean? So, you know, it's like you ain't doing nothing. It ain't all in vain or nothing, man. I know my boy Mr. C is happy, man. It's just like, damn, like, man, I love that. Especially these guys being top dogs, like who, like, man, I like DJ Idea as a producer. He's so dope, and he's like, bro, you just don't know. Him calling me, asking what all the instruments you used to use, what sound modules did you have in the studio when you was producing? Me giving him the list, and he just knowing what stuff he know how to make a beat like I made it, and it's just crazy to me, and I love it. Like even with Larry June, like kind of they saying everybody saying, well, he even said that he take our rap style from the first album and kind of flipped it and made it his own. Now he's doing his own thing with it and putting his own swag on it. I love it. I appreciate it. Because I kind of evolved away from that style, and he like, hold on, he going back to that style. He could use it and do what he want. I don't think I could rap like my old rap style on my first album and actually survive in this day and age. It's one of them things
Uh,
that it works for him. I love it. And man, I just appreciate that he came back and got me back.
are you good? I hear you.
Oh, okay, here I go. Yeah, my phone rung, but yeah, no, I wasn't thinking about rapping no more. Like when June came and got me, I was just like, man, I don't know. And he like, Unc, I need you on the song. And when he got me on that Meet Me in Frisco, I got bit with the bug to get back busy again. And I ain't stopped and ain't letting off no time soon because he made it back fun again. And just seeing him blowing up, And me just knowing one of the biggest, probably not only the biggest, he's the biggest in Frisco. He's definitely the biggest out of Frisco, but just the
He's
biggest
only
in the
getting
Bay
bigger.
Area. He's big. He probably the biggest in the Bay Area right now. I mean, we do got, you got to go to the G-Eazy's and Kalani's to even mess with him. 24K Gold, and like you got to go damn near
Uh,
pop or R&B to
uh,
even be on his level. You know what I mean? 40 and them is
yeah, like
40. They legacy acts, they doing their thing. But as far as that right now, that current now, ain't nobody messing with Larry. Larry is big dog, for surely when it comes to this Northern California, period. I would say like him and Mozzie is the two top dogs in Northern California right now.
and I'm happy to hear that because this album honestly is my favorite. Like this year so far. If we talking about West Coast,
Right.
you're out the Black album. Like
Appreciate it.
would you say it's your best album?
It's my best album, man. This
It
this
has
is
to
my
be.
best album out of my whole catalog. This is top dog. This is number one for sure. And then I would say my Still Ruthless is probably second, and then Black Caesar. You know what I mean? But yeah, this is my favorite one right now. Even my album I got sitting, I don't even want to put that out because I like, damn, I done raised the bar with this one. I gotta re-edit that one a little bit. Even though it's a different mood, it's more like I say it got a more of a Larry June vibe on it because that's the only one I pulled from that album and put on this was that Rainy Day Schedule. A lot of that music
Mm,
that's on that heavy in it sounds similar to Rainy Day Schedule, and I pulled that one off of it and put it on this current album, just just to keep Larry June feature going. I said I get a new one for him that one, but yeah, this is like my best work lyrically, and I think beats wise, my beat selection is just it's dope.
absolutely.
It's dope. Nice little
Yeah.
variety.
Yeah. Every time you and Larry get together, it's always a banger.
Yeah, we're
Regardless
gonna have to
of
get an EP or
oh
something one of these days. I keep telling him. I see
yeah,
the fans be asking about it, like, man, but I'm gonna squeeze one up out of him. He gonna end up doing an EP with me without me even knowing it, without him even knowing it. I was like, hey, I need you on this song. Come back to him, yeah, I need you on this song. And pretty soon we're gonna have an EP. you know.
yeah. And what I enjoy also is like you're more than just an artist, you're also an
All
author.
right.
Is there any similarities between you writing music and you writing a book?
Um, Not really. The Arthur thing takes a while, man. It's just, that's not, I ain't gonna say that's like a one-time thing because I'm not, my book was based on my life. So, I mean, even with my lyrics, a lot of it is taken out of it, but then you got a lot of stuff on there too where it's just for entertainment. You know what I mean? Like I had songs like sort of
Mm,
like a psycho where I'm just spraying up the whole town and acting crazy. So it's just for entertainment, but the book was a little bit different. That's why it took me kind of like two years to just put it together. Just was That's a process. Just really trying to just getting everything out. It was therapy, just getting everything out. Which is, the music is therapy too. It's similar, but it's not. You know, it's just a longer process to do a book. Like even right now, I can't go back in and do. I'm working on another book called Turf Wars, but it's not based on me. It's just based on all the gang activity that took place from like '87 to 1991, to where I brought the troops together with
yeah,
everybody. But that's gonna be a little bit different because I touched on it in my book, but now I'm getting everybody else perspective from Sunnydale, Fillmore, Lakeview. So
ooh, that's gonna be
yeah,
sick.
so it's that's a process. It takes time to do that. Like with my album, it's like I'm a month, I can get that going, get the beats, get the features real quick.
Mm,
However long it's gonna take Larry to probably get his verse done, however long it's gonna take me to get with Jay Worthy or whatever other feature I might have is fast. But getting with these guys to get their part of the story for that stuff, it's a process and it take time and you got to make sure they ain't gonna incriminate themselves and it's just different, man. It's
yeah,
a different process. It's fun though. I like doing it, so I'm gonna do it. But it's different than doing an album, man, because the album I can switch up and well, okay, I can't get Larry, I'm gonna get somebody else. I'm gonna go and get payroll. I'm gonna go and get G Perico. And that's what I'm kind of doing on this next album. I got like payroll, G, like I get my
what about
list.
G?
Yeah, I got my list of people who I'm
Oh
trying to go
man,
to. So, I'm trying to get payroll was supposed to be on this album, but it just didn't work out. I had this song called Heavy in it that he didn't make it on. So I did a new heavy in it with I did with Young Lot, but I
Yeah,
got this other beat that's called Heavy in it. That was the actual soundtrack for the last album. It was a title song for the last album I mean the album that didn't come out. So it's a dope beat. It's a dope song. You
man,
know, I just
you got me excited for this
yeah,
next one because oh
the next one
damn,
gonna be dope, man. It's gonna be dope, you know. So I got
yeah,
him. I got I'm trying to get him. I'm trying to get G Perico. I'm trying to get this rapper name. I don't know if you know Ramirez of the city, a little Latin cat.
yeah,
Remember? Yeah, I'm trying to get one with Ramirez.
yeah,
Um, yes, I got a few other ones on there. Like I'm trying to get some hooks and stuff from like Kamaya. Like I got a lot of ideas. I'm starting to plan things out. So. You know, it's gonna be a few
oh
people on
man, yeah.
there.
It sounds like you've been in
Yeah,
the
it's gonna be
studio.
sick.
Yeah,
It's
it
gonna be
sounds
a
like
dope album, you know. But right
yeah,
now, I got this other album that I'm doing, called Paid in Full with Joe Fresco. You know, we got that Make It Funky, so
okay,
we got an album with music like
yeah,
that on it, and that song actually came from the album me and him working on. So, you know, I just threw that on there.
man,
So, yeah, you know, a lot of my Latino
man, you
fans,
better go on
yeah,
the
I'm going on
run.
the run, man. You know, a lot of my Latino
Yeah, you're about
fans
to go on
gonna
the
be,
run,
they like
yo.
me on them type of beats that Parliament and, you know, Roger Zapp type stuff. So we got a lot of that stuff
Yeah,
coming up. So we doing like a quick little 10, 11 song album. I'm about to throw that out real quick while I'm trying to get this heavy in it together because I don't want no gaps. You know, I'm trying to let this run go on. You know what I mean? I don't want it to be a 2 year hiatus or a year and a half before I drop another project. You know?
yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I love to hear that. I love to hear all the OGs from the Bay, even just you, 40, Short, like continuing and showing all just because you guys are as far if you guys are already 30 years in
Mm-hmm.
because you guys are 30 because you guys have gone 30 years in that means any of these other
You
artists
can
can
do
also
it.
do go ahead and
Exactly.
go 30.
Exactly.
So it's like as far as like you guys are like holding the baton, you guys are going.
Exactly.
So I just hope I hope everyone just supports because the farther you guys go, the more possible it is.
Exactly, exactly. And it's all about quality too. You don't want to just be rapping just to
Yeah,
be throwing music out too. You when you start getting up there,
yeah,
you got to really put it together, man. You know what I mean? That's why, you know, shout out to some of the ones who still gassing on the mic, like Be Legit. You know, you got you know, like you know, even Sully Sale. You know, it's a few of them that still get on that mic and they still do their thing and they really care about their craft, man. Because you get some that just don't care. They just doing it trying to get a check or something or trying to get some money, you know. So Spice one too. He just dropped a dope song. You know what I mean? So there's a few of them that's gassing still. That's what I told Yuck. Like Yuck got to get back in there because he's still gassing. He just got to get the right beat selection and get on the right beats. He gonna take off. You know what I mean? It's just all about picking the
yeah,
right beats, man. Getting around the right producer who can help you get it together. And I think Yuck Mouth, if he get around somebody like a Mechanics or something, I think he'll put out a
oh
dope
yeah,
album with the Mechanics. I would love to hear Yuck a full Mechanic produced album. That'd be so dope.
yeah. That'd be crazy. Something else I did hear about is so you're obviously you're a legend in the music industry. You're an author,
Hmm.
and I heard that you're working on a Turf Wars miniseries. I don't know if that's
Yeah,
still
yeah.
something you still
Oh
want to
yeah,
get
well see what
done.
I'm trying to do. That's what I'm trying to do the book first because when you got the book, then you can you already got a script. That's like even with my book, I
Mm,
kind of got a script now. Now I can send my book out to somebody who shoot or somebody who know how to put movies or miniseries together, and I ain't got to worry about trying to type up a script. They can kind of get my book and take the meaty parts out of it and put it together, figure out how to get a script going just from the book. So that's why I said I want to do the Turf Wars book first and it's gonna be called the Chronicles. So I'm just getting a whole bunch of different people perspectives. It's gonna probably be about 10 to 11 people in the book. The main characters who I knew when I was back there in it, who I knew was big main characters from these different turfs, and had them just talk about all the run-ins, the juvenile stories, the getting jumped, and anything that ain't got to do with a murder. We don't want everything, all the meat, you
yeah,
know what I mean? All the meat and vegetables
yeah,
and dessert, you know what I mean? Just don't talk about nothing that's going to incriminate anybody or send somebody to jail. But once I do that, then we can, that'll be like a script, So that's
yeah.
what I'm trying to do now. It's just
Okay,
taking time. I got the names down. It's just landing the interviews, getting the phone numbers, and getting these dudes to get on the phone with my guy and don't feel like, he's some investigator or something. I got him. So I gotta kind of
Yeah,
make the initial contact with them and let them know, look, this is what I'm working on, man. My guy call you, and, this is what I need you to do. So that's where we at with it.
yeah. So man, I'm excited for that. I'm surprised a show like a Snowfall or like a Snowfall hasn't been like green lighted in the Bay because the Bay has so many stories. Like even with Felix Mitchell,
I
you got the
know.
turf wars. You
Yeah,
got like
man,
there's
so
so
much
much.
going on in the Bay, but we got to do our own thing, man. It's just the Bay. I don't know what it is, man. It's just like we don't get no action when it comes to stuff like that. They'll come steal bits and pieces of our story, and then they go on and move and do what they're gonna do. Like even with Snowfall,
Yeah, like
yeah,
even
they
in
come up to the
Snowfall,
Bay.
yeah,
You see them talking about coming to Oakland, but then they don't really stay there for too long. They just mention it and get in and out. But it's like nothing, you know
yeah.
what I mean? They don't bring no cameras around here. Try to keep them around here and employ some people and tell our story. So, yeah.
Mm. Uh, I, I do have one more
Hmm.
question. What do you hope listeners take away from like this new chapter of your music, your writing, your films? Like, what do you hope people take away from this next chapter in your career?
Really, man, just just to keep going. I mean, that's all. You know what I mean? And yeah, that's pretty much it, man. Just don't stop. If you're passionate about it, man, stay doing what you're doing. You know what I mean? I didn't know I'd be here right now, still successful with the music and still staying, semi-relevant in the game, still getting booked for shows. It's hard to get, especially when you done lost two members, two artists that, got chunks of music on your hits and all that stuff. They still book me. They still, want to see me. I can't see, a lot of groups that split up, they don't really get out there and still perform no more. You know what I mean? And they still might have two surviving. The members might both be here. All three might be here, or two, or whatever. Just a group period. And they can't even get on stage together and can't rock out together. And one of them can't go out by themselves. It'd be hard. I see Yuck trying to do it a little bit with the Loonies, but it's hard to do that. You know what I mean? And I know I probably motivated him in some way because yeah, I've been doing it without Mr. C for a while, man, and the fans steady come out to see me. We got a almost sold out show this weekend in Brentwood, and yeah, it's just a blessing, man, to just be able to, man, just to be able to, to still work, man, and it's just all like Larry June say, just keep going, man. You just got to keep going, and consistency pays off, man. When you staying consistent, man, I see, you know. The rewards is coming back, the roses, the rewards, and on top of that, ain't nothing like having that, the income going up. So it's been love, man, so I ain't got no complaints.
I'm happy for you, and I just love the way that not only you can everywhere you go, you uphold your own name, but you uphold RBL, you uphold
Right.
Mr. C, even Hitman. Like you carry, like it's like you're carrying them
Got
with
to,
you, even if
got
they're not
to.
here, and
Yep,
you have
got
to.
to.
And I love to see
Yeah, with
that
no
all the time.
RBLs, no Black C, you know what I mean? So I always got to keep my boys, make sure I keep the torch lit for them, at all costs, and I try to make sure I don't tarnish the legacy. It's always about quality when it comes to RBL, just the right way, my label, period. We try to do everything the right way. That was our whole motto, doing everything the right way. I don't care whether it's recording, whether it's dressing, whether it's just on RBL's legacy, man, at all. So, thank God I'm able to branch out, do Black C now, and just keep doing things just to honor RBL. You know what I mean? Just
Yeah,
30-year anniversaries and still go around doing the shows. But as far as albums and stuff like that, if it ain't something like I did with DJ Fresh, a refreshed album, I ain't pretty much looking forward to doing nothing else. It's just, I'm gonna do hopefully another one on the 30th anniversary of the Ruthless By Law. Refresh that one and re-put that out, drop some more, vinyl and do things like that. I got some No Bammer hoodies and stuff about to drop on 420. And the fans is
Yeah.
just steady buying all that stuff. So that's how I'm keeping the torch lit for RBL, keeping the name alive, just dropping nice products, That's it.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you. I appreciate you sitting down with me, and taking the time out of your day to answer some
For sure.
questions. And I hope this tour goes amazing for you. I got to catch a show myself.
Yeah.
I do got to hear some of the. I got to hear some of the. I got to hear some of these slaps live. I
Man,
ain't gonna lie.
yeah, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
these
We
go.
definitely doing all the
Yeah,
slaps live, man. All of them live. This show this weekend probably gonna be my longest show. Usually we be in shows and we with, a bunch of other groups and we probably only do maybe 15 to 20 minutes, but we doing damn near about 45 minutes to almost an hour this weekend. So in Brentwood. So this probably gonna be my longest show to date. You know what I mean? Since I got my solo stuff going on and then I gotta do the RBL classics and we the headliner. So yes, this is big. This is gonna be one of our biggest ones right now. So yeah, I can't wait.
yeah, man, for sure. Cool. Thank you.
Man, for sure,
Appreciate it.
man.